A very good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, or whatever place it is you're tuned on to the Life Signatures Radio. It is a daily show focusing on the subjects of purpose, productivity, and resilience. It's a teaching, inspiring, motivating incubator, virtual incubator for those three topics and any other topic in between that we normally deal with on a daily basis, which means you can come any day and you can find an episode going on. Today we are going to continue going deeper into whatever we already started discussing. We're talking about a very long series here, talking about raising spirit-led children. So if you're someone in authority, you're a parent, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, whatever, you're an uncle, you're an aunt, and the child is into your life, you have an awesome opportunity at this moment in time to raise a spirit-led human being. Let me tell you, the problems we're facing on the face of the earth today are spiritual problems, because we are spiritual humans. We are not physical per se. This physicality is a shell. Who we are is spirit. And our biggest problems are spirit. And some of these problems can be solved at source or at home when we raise a spirit-led children, or at school when we raise spirit-led children. So today, let's continue going deeper. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Naturally, we've got to start with a recap, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the recap. You are not raising a spirit-led child if, number one, you do not teach them to cherish the inner compass. Number two, you do not teach them to know the importance of self-extraction. Number three, you're not teaching them to nourish their creative capacities. Number four, you're not teaching them the value of personal growth and development. And then number five, you're not teaching them to be humane. The opposite of being humane is kind of like being selfish, and we talked about selfishness. Number one, it is a limiting thing. It's limiting spirit, a spirit of scarcity. Number two, it's a spirit of competition. Number three, and it's a spirit of negative energy. Number four, and then number five is an insatiable spirit. But we've got to start looking at the humane. When you're talking about raising someone who is humane, what exactly are you talking about? And we're going to start talking about that today in the episode. And I started touching on that yesterday in the episode, but today let's go deeper. Number one, if you're raising someone who is humane, you are tapping into the spirit. But then number one, it is an abundance. It's a spirit of abundance. Now, abundance is not about quantity. Abundance is about will. It is a will. It's a willingness. In other words, the person that you might consider to be having little might not even be aware that they have little, so much so that they are able to give or to share. That is the humane spirit. It is not limited by quantity. It is governed not by quantity. It is governed by the will to make a difference, the will to share. That is what we've got to teach. In other words, when we start teaching people about giving, about abundance, about being humane, the environment we're trying to foster is looking at their spirit and removing this selfishness that says, I only am going to give when I have this A, B, C, and D in place. No, we teach that you learn to be selfless, to make someone else's existence better by looking at what is already in your vicinity and multiplying it for their sake, or reaching out to them for their sake so that they can be able to benefit from it. So growing up in an environment of scarcity can cause someone's attitude to be trained in getting and holding. It's like the quote, you get all you can all you get, and then you sit on the can, because you're looking at things from the scarcity perspective, that things are getting depleted as time goes by. Let me make it clear. It is a spirit that cuts both ways. It is an issue of an attitude. It's the issue of the will. You can be raised in a poverty-stricken environment, but you are taught to be humane. You are taught to have abundance inside of you. You are taught about the spirit of abundance, that you will not recognize scarcity. I mean, you're blinded by the fact that there is scarcity, because your spirit is a spirit of abundance. And therefore, you don't think that things are going to get depleted. You are humane enough to share whatever little that is there. You don't even know the little, because it is not about the outside thing, it's about the inside, and the inside says what we have can go round. So what happens with you is that every time there is more, quote unquote more, from what you've already known, your abundance goes even deeper. Your abundance mentality is even amplified. It is increased. You can also be raised, by the way, in an abundant environment, at least materially, but still you harbor the spirit of scarcity. You know that for a fact, isn't it? You've seen people who can give 1,000,000 times over, but they hold back. They are so mkonogamu, that's what we say in Swahili, as in they are so glue-handed. That's a direct translation. They're misers, so miserly that they can't let go, and they have abundance with them. That's why I'm telling you, this thing is not it's not about the quantity, it's about the heart. It's about what you harbor in your spirit. And I see this all the time with some relatives, with some bosses and, friends and so on. For them, there is nothing like enough. They can't get enough. They can always get. I've talked about this in the previous episodes. A boss goes in and puts his hand or her hand into the pocket of an employee. And you know how they do that? They take their well-earned cash. They slash their social security and they don't remit it. They steal someone else's future. Yet they are millionaire in their local currencies, and even some of them in dollars. But they still go ahead. They're doing this, they're holding this, and they're stealing this while they have abundance. At least in our eyes, they have abundance around them. They want to keep getting. They want to keep snatching. They want to keep holding. They want to get all they can and can all they get and sit on the can. Not knowing that shortly after, because you're not going to live more than 10 decades. 10, imagine. Just about 10 decades, you're gone. What's the point? So to teach your children to be humane, you have to show them the value of the spirit of abundance. You've got to train this, the spirit of abundance. Every time they want to give something, you've got to allow for them to give. And you've got to allow for them to give not just what is yours, what has come from your pocket, but also what has come from theirs, their efforts and their pockets. They've got to learn to let go and not just to, attach themselves on things and be selfish and self-focused and self-centered. Because abundance is not about quantity. We've got to dram this into their spirit. It is not about quantity. It is about the will. It is about the quality of the spirit around them. It's about the spirit of abundance. It's a spirit that is a spirit of being humane. That's what we've got to teach. And I'm not saying that you go and start teaching definition. I'm just saying that you find a way of saying, you can be able to let go of this. Have you seen the other person? Did you see them walking without shoes? You know how many pairs you have? Do you know you can let go of those pairs that you have so that they can, it's about them. It's not about you. And you get much more satisfaction in life when you see them smiling, because now they have a shoe and you also have a shoe. Both of you now have shoes. What value does it add into this life when you have 3 pairs and they have none? See, it's that kind of drumming to be humane. And let me tell you, I do feel that if someone has become humane, the way they approach this life, like I said earlier on in the episode, the biggest mistake or the biggest problem we have in this life is spiritual problems. And being humane is more of spirit than it is of anything else. And someone who has been helped to recognize abundance, even in quote-unquote scarcity, to recognize, to flip this thing. It is not about quantity. It's not about what you can count. It's about what your heart feels towards other people. It's about your willingness to let go. It's about a spirit of sacrifice, and sacrifice without frowning, without grudges, without strings attached. I never forget this when there was post-election violence in Kenya, and me and my drama group, we went out and we contributed and we gave mattresses and all that stuff to people who are suffering. And then a boss saw that and she wanted to do the same thing, just to bandwagon. It wasn't coming from the heart. It was coming from the place of, what can I gain from this? How will the world see? What will the world look at me? We've got to be ready to give. We've got to be ready to be humane. When we have this humane spirit inside of us, it changes the way we work. It changes the way we relate to people. It changes the way we charge. Right? It changes the way we transact in this world. And that's what we need. So if you're going to raise a spirit-led child, my brothers and my sisters, you've got to teach them to be humane. And we've got to teach all of us. All of us must learn to be humane, not just the children, so that it's a complete society. Tomorrow we're going to continue talking about being humane, what other aspect of being humane is. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.